Speaking of fun dip, do you think the Red Sox are going to win the World Series?
Let's roll right into that.
That's what you call transitioning?
Well, to me, they can very easily win the World Series, but there's about a dozen teams that can win the World Series, and that's pretty much all you can ask for. The regular season, regardless of how it's viewed around here by people, where every game is a matter of life and death, as Tito Francona is fond of saying.
Good guy.
It's about getting to the playoffs, and this Red Sox team, obviously, when you have the best record in the American League, they're perfectly capable of winning the American League. They're right there. They've got the best home record in baseball. They've got one of the most potent offenses in baseball. Their pitching staff is striking out more batters than any other team in the game. They've had their weaknesses and they've had their problems and they've had their injuries, but here they are at the break. They've got a 3-game lead over New York. They've established themselves as pretty much strong everywhere. They have some weaknesses, but you can't look at them now and say this team is out of it. They're right there for the sprint.
It is a little scary to have the Yankees and Rays both be so good and both kind of looking like they haven't played their best baseball.
Well, that's one of the, I don't want to say deceptive, but you look at the Red Sox record, they're in the best division in baseball by far, and they're 22-9 in the American League East. Now,
Right.
It's not going to be that easy coming home, I don't think, because when they saw the Rays, it was not the Rays team that we've seen that's become this, offensive juggernaut.
The Rays were hitting right from the get-go. It was the pitching. I mean, the fact that the Rays are only 6 games back when Kazmir's ERA is about 8. I don't believe Shields has been great, has he? Their bullpen hasn't been what it was.
They've become a team now. The bullpen has improved greatly over the past, 6 weeks or so. But they've become a team that is able to outscore any pitching problems that they have. I mean, you've got their whole – this is not the greatest barometer, obviously, but their whole infield went to the All-Star game. You had Longoria, Bartlett, Pena, all there.
Zobrist.
Ben Zobrist, probably the shock, surprise player of the year by far.
First half MVP of the Thursday Thumpers of the, I think we're called I can't remember what the name of my league is. Oh, the Mel Ott Traveling All-Star Yahoo Fantasy Baseball Team. Fantasy baseball talk, folks. It's what moves product.
But one of the best records in baseball since they last played the Red Sox.
I like that he just basically waited for me to finish and then just continued his sentence.
It's the only way I can.
It's the only sane way to approach me. I have a sickness.
But, 22-9 in the first half in the AL East is outstanding. But they have to go to Tropicana Field for 5 of the remaining games. They do not win there, and that's usually a stat that's thrown around incorrectly, but they didn't win there last year. They didn't really win there in the playoffs, and they didn't win there. I think they're 4-13 the last 17 times they've been down there. So they've got.
What is it?
I believe it's 4-13.
Wow.
I may have made that up. But,
it's hard to imagine, though, when you consider the Rays of the past, but we were all speculating that there'd be carryover from last year, from how good Tampa Bay was, or Tampa Rays, but how good they were then. And it seemed like at first, the beginning of the year, like that might not have been the case. Are they starting to pick that momentum back up? More importantly, are they starting to feel like they're the team that should be winning this division?
I think the biggest question people had coming into the season about Tampa was whether that bullpen that carried them so well during the playoffs last year and all during last season was going to be able to stay above its head. I mean, they had so many guys have career years there, whether it be Balfour or Howell and just on down the line. And Howell was potentially an all-star this year if middle relievers got the sort of credit that they deserve. I mean that bullpen is again carrying them, and when you have an offense that can produce 6 runs a game like they've been getting, that's a team that's going to be very tough to beat, especially when you play in a quirky park like that.
Yeah.
And the Red Sox are not a good team on artificial turf. It's one of those odd kind of statistical things. They have a lot of older defensive guys who don't adapt well to that turf kind of thing, and there is a definite learning curve to playing on that surface, and they really haven't shown any ability to deal with it.
That was wow. I don't know what else to say after that. That was impressive.
You should reward yourself with Fun Dip.
Did you play Major League Baseball?
Not quite.
Okay.
I believe my baseball career, if I remember correctly, ended when I was 12, when I went through a season batting about 008.
But I bet your OPS was at least 0.09.
I bet I could calculate my OPS at age 12.
I bet you could too.
Which pretty much says all it needs to.
So do you think, if you had to pick one, who is going to challenge? Is it going to be the Rays or is it going to be the Yankees? Which do you fear most as a Red Sox? Which should the Red Sox fans be more worried about?
I mean, I came into this season thinking that Tampa was going to be the odd team out because I didn't see that bullpen being able to maintain what it did last year. But if they can continue to pitch the way that they've pitched, those bats have looked fierce, and they haven't even really hit their stride yet. I would say Tampa is the team that concerns me the most, even though the Sox, the Yankees have stuck with them rather solidly. The Sox have those 8 wins, but it's largely because the Yankees average with runners in scoring position against the Red Sox in those games is about 100. Games have come down to those big spots, and the Red Sox pitching has come through in all of them.
And the Red Sox, they definitely have the best pitching of the 3, and the lineups, maybe if they have the worst lineup of the 3, it's not by far.
No.
So it'll be interesting for sure.
Now, who makes the splashier move, heading into the trading deadline?
Well, I wonder how willing Tampa is to make a move. I mean, we know around here the Red Sox have, some people said, held on to those chips a little too strongly. But, I mean, Epstein's position, Theo Epstein right now, has the ability to sit and wait for a move that will help this team not only this year but for the long term. As we said, this is a Red Sox team that is fully capable of going into the playoffs and being the top contender for the World Series. They can get through this without making a move, no matter what you think of their shortstop situation, no matter what you think of their third base situation, their left side defense.
Right.
They are capable of getting there. So I'm curious as to whether he feels like he has to make a sort of impact move. You can't look at the Yankees and say they're going to sit on their hands, obviously. They didn't make the playoffs last year. They've shown an ability to not make the playoffs this year, even though they've got huge offensive numbers, even though Mariano Rivera continues to do it, at a level that is just downright hard to believe. I mean, to me, I still feel like, just based on what we know, the Yankees are going to make that big move that they think they need to make to get there. Now, whether it's what they actually need to get there, that's a whole other issue.